be doing my debate presentation on hazing. Does it really add value to team sports? As you watch the following videos, just think of times when you may have been a part of hazing ritual and how you may have felt afterwards. So, what is hazing? There are many definitions of what scholars believe hazing to be. Allen defined hazing as a rite of passage for a member to become accepted into an organization. Lipkin went on further to define it as a process based on a tradition that is used by groups to discipline and to maintain a hierarchy. While many other definitions exist, one of the most effective definitions was written by researchers at Alfred University in 1999. Hazing is an activity expected of someone joining a group that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers, regardless of the person's willingness to participate. This does not include activities such as rookies carrying balls, team parties with community games, or going out with your teammates, unless an atmosphere of humiliation, degradation, abuse, or danger arises. Furthermore, Crow and McIntosh revealed that the definition has to be taken a step further. They reduce hazing into levels to further explain the extent or severity of hazing. The levels are acceptable, questionable, alcohol-related, and unacceptable. Acceptable behaviors include only positive activities. Questionable behaviors include humiliating and degrading activities, but no dangerous or potentially illegal activities. Alcohol-related activities essentially consist of drinking contests exclusive of other dangerous or illegal behavior. Unacceptable and potentially illegal behaviors include those activities that carry out a high probability of danger or injury or could result in criminal charges. Carroll and colleagues first recorded an incident of hazing within collegiate sports in USA occurring in 1923 at Hobart College when a freshman football player was beaten and thrown into a lake by two senior players. Some examples of hazing include, but definitely aren't limited to, being thrown in water, mud, eating disgusting things, wearing embarrassing clothing, drinking alcohol, destroying property, or even being beaten physically. A little further, examples can be things such as alcohol use, physical abuse, psychological manipulation, and simulation of sexual acts, which is being seen a lot more these days. And the things here that Hoover kind of marks as examples can also be much more detrimental to individuals participating, and in some cases can be lethal. So to further examine the Alfred University study, I've supplied a few interesting statistics. More than 250,000 athletes experience some sort of hazing to join a college athletic team. 1 in 5 athletes was subjected to unacceptable and potentially illegal hazing. They were kidnapped, beaten, or tied up and abandoned. They were also forced to commit crimes, destroying property, making prank phone calls, harassing others, things of that nature. Half were required to participate in drinking contests or alcohol-related hazing. 2 in 5 consume alcohol on recruitment visits before enrolling. 2/3 were subjected to humiliating hazing, such as being yelled or sworn at, forced to wear embarrassing clothing, or forced to deprive oneself of sleep, food, or personal hygiene. Only 1 in 5 participated exclusively in positive initiations, such as team trips or ropes courses. While these statistics are startling, you can only imagine what the numbers look like today. More than half of college students involved in club teams and organizations experience hazing. And I read somewhere like 1.5 million high school students are involved in hazing each year. That's today, which is really surprising when 44 out of the 50 U.S. states have anti-hazing laws. This means it's basically illegal to practice, but students, athletes, and some coaches are still getting away with it today. Alaska, Hawaii, Montana, New Mexico, South Dakota, and Wyoming are still the 6 left that have yet to provide any laws forbidding the practice of hazing in any institution in their state. So, the next step here is, why does hazing occur? Lipkin suggests that hazing occurs due to basic internal desires of control, dominance, just because they feel like they have that power over somebody. A lot of individuals think that it actually promotes team cohesion. It's a self-interest, and also for developmental needs. While Van Raalte and colleagues suggest that hazing occurs due to group identity and cognitive dissonance. And group identity is basically just a fundamental aspect of human social behavior. It allows individuals the benefits of survival, protection from enemies, status, and access to group resources. And it also requires that the individual pay certain costs, in this case, participating in acts of hazing. Usually the hazee is already a part of the team, and the hazing comes easy because they don't have to be the one getting hazed. From this perspective, you would think that hazing would be a very effective way to increase attraction to a team, whereas cognitive dissonance is a way for students and athletes to make themselves feel better about a situation. If a great deal of effort went into gaining membership, a low level of reward would be dissonant or harsh with cognitions or the perceptions of it being that low level. And it's kind of like smoking, if you want to put it this way. So a person may want to smoke even though they know it's unhealthy. They can try to change their feelings of the odds of suffering the consequences, or they can just agree that the smoking is worth the short-term benefits of the high that they'll get from the nicotine. And moving on here, there are three main issues that come to mind that Hansen approaches with hazing, and that's high school brutality, playing the blame game, and then divided communities that occur due to hazing. For high school brutality, experts believe that there's a reason why we see so many cases of hazing in high school. With all the violent and sexually explicit scenes covered worldwide, whether it be through music, movies, television, the press, internet, high school students feel it's okay to actually act in the same behavior and use the same means to come together as a team. Students are actually being treated too kindly in matters of hazing. Many adults feel that if willing to act as an adult in some hazing matters, they should be treated as adults by officials enforcing punishment upon them. Such a case occurred at the University of Michigan, actually, when pledges were made to crawl across broken beer bottles and deprived of water, sleep, and food. A young man was soon after hospitalized for kidney failure because if he chose to quit, none of his pledges with him would be able to gain membership either. So he decided just to keep on for the sake of him and the rest of his inductees, if you will. Officials removed the fraternity from campus, but police declined to arrest anyone who was involved. The next issue is the blame game. Hansen also argued that school officials continually coddle hazers, and that students have allowed hazing to go on that coaches have allowed hazing to go on for far too long. A case in St. Amant, Louisiana involved Coach Swacker, who knew that students were being hazed and did nothing about it until after someone got hurt. His team initiated players by stripping off their pants and underwear, taped them face down to a bench, and beat them with their hands and football cleats. Coach Swacker walked in on one incident and complained that the boys were actually just wasting good tape, and went on about his business rather than stopping them and telling them to get on with what they're doing, and the lack of even reporting the incident. Although the hazies survived and were okay afterwards, parents were appalled that the coach didn't do anything to stop the teammates beating on their younger counterparts. In the last section here is divided communities, which is another area that causes so much conflict in hazing. Universal agreements to end hazing are just out of the question at this point. Division within communities arises especially when a team's season or scholarships are on the line. One instance at the University of Vermont involved student Corey Latulip, 19 at the time, was forced to parade around naked at a party while holding onto another teammate's genitals, along with other humiliating stunts. He and his teammates did this together, and he actually later failed to make the team and actually filed a civil lawsuit against the university, the hockey coach, and the 3 players who made him do these things, which resulted in a 15-game cancellation for the season for the team. Some fans were proud of the school and congratulated LaTulip for standing up, and others were actually outraged, some saying it was just a harmless rite of passage, and even degraded LaTulip for his efforts in standing up for what was right, or what he believed to be right. So, this is where the debate comes into play. There's always 2 sides to every story, like I kind of have illustrated here, 2 sides to every argument. You're either against it or for it, as the picture shows. The question mark resembles you and kind of where you sit. If you're for it, your options are going to outweigh what you're against and vice versa. So that's kind of a little illustration to kind of show you where you're at. First topic of debate, hazing does add value to team sports. Allen and Madden revealed that of the estimated 11,000 individuals they surveyed, 86% cited positive results of hazing, while 59% cited negative results. These positive results included feeling more a part of the group, feeling a sense of accomplishment, feeling of strength, and a feeling to do better in class. Though it was difficult to find any positive information about hazing out there, StopHazing.org and its staff have received numerous hate mail pieces from individuals stating their pro-hazing opinions. And this one really caught my eye. Just please listen. I was never in danger, but I wanted to be. I wanted to be hazed worse. I wanted to bleed for them. I wanted to faint from exhaustion. I wanted to be branded. I wanted torture. Why? Because I wanted to prove that, God forbid, if one of my brothers needed me to risk my life to save him, I would. I would donate an organ. I would run into a burning car. I would take a bullet for them. Hazing is symbolic of that. By the end, it came naturally, as natural as love should come. And now I understand the true love. I love my brothers. I also found that throughout my reading and research that many people who are for hazing and its symbolism to team building feel that everyone sees hazing as a negative aspect of sport. People argue that bad haircuts, singing on tabletops, dancing in front of cameras are not forms of hazing. But if that's the case, I'm pretty sure Tim Tebow felt a little bit out of place and humiliated whenever he was placed on national television and across the internet for his bad haircut when being initiated onto the Broncos squad. Hazing can also bring about the vision that no individual is above the other. This can place the equality and uniformity amongst teammates and coaches alike. Griffin made a note to say that hazing is often defended by the hazee and the hazer in a positive activity used solely for team building. Waldron and Kowalski went on to add that hazing was a way for students to strive for distinction between the in-group and the outsiders. This allows the athletes to feel like they have some self-worth within the team and that they belong to one entity, separate from others. Second side of the debate. Hazing does not add value to sports. Allen and Madden also proposed statistics within their study of the perceived negative results of hazing, including feelings of stress, relationship troubles, feelings of guilt, difficulty sleeping, and concentrating on schoolwork, which, if you remember, on the positive aspects, there were some students who said that they actually did better in class. But here it's saying that, in the same study, they actually found that kids were having a hard time concentrating on their schoolwork. They also had feelings of humiliation, degradation, depression, and the occurrence of physical injuries. Waldron and Kowalski determined that there can be detrimental psychological effects associated with hazing, whether it be a decrease in confidence, self-doubting their abilities, depression again is there, helplessness, lowered self-esteem, and even suicidal thoughts. It gives athletes a feeling that they can't feel safe with their own team, like they're always having to watch over their back if something else is going to happen. And of course, all effects will be different for each athlete, but hazing should never go unlooked, and for those who have been hazed should always look for appropriate care afterwards. So the perfect storm theory, it's kind of something I thought was really interesting that I found, but basically, we'll pull up a picture here, kind of a chart of what I have found. Basically provides an explanation as to why hazing can end in destruction.